3.5 years after the tragedy in Parkland.
Shooting call. It's at Stillman Douglas 72 Sierra Sector, active shooter.
Reports of a guilty plea for Nicholas Cruz with the death penalty still on the table. As one young woman, taken too soon, is laid to rest, the search ramps up for the person of interest in the death of another. And the accusations that got Miami's top cop suspended
We'll continue to support them and to fight for them.
have now put his case in front of the city commissioners. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Good morning, South Florida. I'm Zitlali Solache.
And I'm Danelle Dukin. Today is Friday, October 15th, 2021.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
The shooter from the 2018 MSD shooting pled guilty to all counts.
Alleged Parkland school shooter, Nicholas Cruz, pled guilty on all counts. Rather than going to trial, the 23-year-old will plead guilty to 17 counts of premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder in connection to the 2018 Parkland school shooting massacre that left 17 people dead and 17 others injured. Cruz's defense team said their client would plead guilty for life in prison without parole if prosecutors took the death penalty off the table. That offer had been denied by prosecutors.
After a 5-hour-long hearing last night, the Miami City Commission unanimously voted to fire Miami Police Chief Art Acevedo, who was suspended earlier this week. The network's Christopher Gomez has the latest details on the lengthy hearings that have now come to an end.
Miami Police Chief Art Acevedo fired.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
His stint as the head of the organization took a turn for the worst, first when he called City of Miami, quote, the Cuban Mafia. And in another misstep, he said in an interview that the Miami Police Department would be installing a COVID-19 vaccine mandate.
And if I get my way in the next couple of weeks, we're going to say, you must get vaccinated.
After 6 months in Miami, the fate of Chief Acevedo's job is resting in the hands of commissioners here, meeting at Miami City Hall.
But he's a seasoned law enforcement professional who's been doing this for a very long time. He knows better. He knows better.
Chief Acevedo and his attorney disagreeing with the meeting in general from the beginning.
We object to this hearing proceeding today. For that reason, we will not be calling witnesses during our portion of the case.
With no testimony from the defense, city commissioners said they couldn't even consider Acevedo's case.
How can we side with you if you don't defend yourself against the points that are raised? If an 8-point accusation is made and you give no defense, what do you leave this body with?
Acevedo making a statement to the press after the ruling.
That there are many quality men and women in this department. I want them to know that I admire them and will continue to support them and to fight for them.
The city commission says that they'll investigate Acevedo's claims, but for now, he no longer has a job. Reporting in the city of Miami, I'm Christopher Gomez, South Florida Media Network.
A final farewell to a South Floridian 19-year-old whose life was taken too soon. A celebration of life took place at the Cooper City Church of God for Mia Marcano on Thursday before her casket was escorted to her final resting place in Bailey Memorial Gardens in North Lauderdale. Hundreds of family members and friends attended the service, including family from Trinidad and the U.S. Virgin Islands. On Thursday, authorities in Florida deployed a K-9 unit specialized to detect human remains once again in the search for Brian Laundrie. These units have been used several times in the past month in the search for Laundrie in the Carlton Reserve. Laundrie returned to Florida without his fiancée Gabby Petito after their trip across the western U.S. Petito's body was found in the Wyoming wilderness last month. Her manner and cause of death were determined to be homicide by strangulation.
President Biden is updating the American people on his administration's handling of the COVID-19 crisis. The network's Alejandra Garcia has more on this.
So, Lali, this comes as FDA advisors voted unanimously whether to authorize emergency Moderna COVID-19 vaccine boosters for some adults. In the battle against COVID-19, vaccine advisors to the FDA voted unanimously Thursday to recommend emergency authorization of a booster dose of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine for some adults. The panel hearing promising news from Israel, where officials say boosters have reduced severe disease in all age groups.
Coming out of a fourth wave that was without the booster dose, I believe, would have put us in a worse place with really high burden on hospitals with severe and critical patients.
This comes as a new study from the National Institute of Health shows that it's also safe to mix and match the boosters.
They've also found that there's pretty good efficacy throughout, as in you get a very strong antibody response no matter what kind of booster you end up getting.
According to the CDC, just over 66% of the eligible U.S. population is fully vaccinated.
With the holidays around the corner, listen, I'm not going to get tired of convincing the unvaccinated that they must get vaccinated.
Although COVID-19 infections are declining across the country, hospitalizations remain high in certain hotspots. The president urging Americans to do their part to stop the spread.
Now's not the time to let up. We have a lot more to do. We're in a very critical period as we work to turn the corner on COVID-19.
President Biden is also saying medical experts will make a decision on whether young children should be vaccinated within the next few weeks. In the Control Center, Alejandra Garcia, South Florida Media Network.
3 Star Wars enthusiasts are preparing to travel to a galaxy far, far away.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
He was not feeling well all day Tuesday and was taken to the hospital.
Making his way to recovery. Don't go away, Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
COVID-19 has changed how we stomp the yard and feel the beat. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it? Is it free? It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
U.S. former president making his way towards recovery after being diagnosed with an infection. A trip to California for a former president turned into a trip to the hospital.
And his condition stable at this hour. Former President Clinton has been hospitalized for a blood infection known as sepsis, according to a spokesperson, but he is recovering and is expected to be released from the hospital soon.
An infection that is now being treated with IV antibiotics, and what they're saying is that he is responding well to those antibiotics.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta spoke to the former president's doctors and members of his staff who say he tested negative for COVID-19. They also made it clear that this was not a heart-related issue and he's being treated in the ICU for safety and privacy. Doctors say he could be released as soon as today but would stay on oral antibiotics.
As William Shatner rides high from his historic Star Trek, an impressive creation from a galaxy far, far away is set to steal his thunder. The creative force is very strong with these Russian cosplays who created a life-size replica of Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter. The cosplay, who goes by Just Isle, says took the group 3 months and over $5,000 to bring his fan favorite ship to life. The force is with them. That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Zitlali Solache.
And I'm Danelle Duke. And have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
Catch more news anytime